Have you ever felt like something is watching you? A presence lurking in the shadows? Tonight, I bring you 5 terrifying true campfire stories shared by our viewers. These tales are so chilling, they'll stay with you long after the video ends. But be warned, these are not just stories, they are real. And if you have a horror story of your own, share it in the comments. Who knows? Your story might be featured in the next video. Now, let's step into the darkness. Story 1. The Whispering Woods. This story comes from a viewer named Elias, who went camping deep in the woods with his friends. Everything seemed normal, until nightfall. As they sat around the fire, they heard, it's soft at first, but growing louder. At first they thought it was just the wind, but then they realized the whispers were coming from right behind them. Elias grabbed his flashlight and shined it into the trees. Nothing, but then, just for a split second, he saw it. Shadowy figure standing between the trees, staring at them. The next morning, they checked their map and made a horrifying discovery. The spot where they had heard the whispers? It was an abandoned burial ground. A young couple decided to go camping for the weekend. But something felt off. Late at night, they heard footsteps, slow, deliberate, circling their tent. Then they saw it. A shadow, tall, thin, and motionless, just outside the thin fabric of their tent. Heart pounding, the girl grabbed her flashlight and unzipped the tent, but the shadow was gone. The next morning, they asked the campsite owner if anyone else had been staying nearby. His response? You were the only ones here last night. But here's the real horror. He then told them a story. A man had died at that very site years ago, inside his tent. Story 3. The Haunted Campground. This next story takes place at a notorious abandoned campsite. For years, people claimed it was haunted, but a group of teenagers decided to camp there anyway. At first, nothing happened, but then, their fire suddenly went out. Then, footsteps, but no one was there. And then, a girl screamed. She swore she saw a woman with glowing red eyes, standing at the edge of the woods. Terrified, they packed their things and ran to their car. But just as they were about to leave, the car door swung open on its own. Something, or someone, didn't want them to leave. Story 4. The lost hiker. A hiker went missing for 2 days. When they finally found him, he was shaking, mumbling, saying the same thing over and over. Again, they wouldn't let me leave. They wouldn't let me leave. They wouldn't let me leave. Later, when he recovered, he finally spoke. He said something had been calling his name, whispering, luring him deeper into the woods. When the search team found him, he was standing in the same spot for hours, eyes wide, unblinking. To this day, he refuses to talk about what he saw. Story 5. The Campfire Ghost. This last story comes from a camper who had heard rumors about a spirit that roamed their campground. People said that if you sat alone by the fire at midnight, you'd feel someone watching you. One night, out of curiosity, he decided to test the legend. And then, just as the clock struck midnight, his fire suddenly went out, and behind him, he heard it. A slow, heavy breathing. When he turned around, there was no one there. But in the ashes of his fire pit, he saw something. A set of footprints, and they were leading directly to where he was sitting. These were 5 terrifying, true campfire stories from viewers just like you. Which one haunted you the most? Let us know in the comments. And if you love creepy stories, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell, because we have even more terrifying tales coming soon.